This morning we are having a conversation, but what preceded this conversation was a performance by some young people. A performance of precision, a performance of discipline, a performance that tells a story with strong footing, focus, discipline, and precision. Tomorrow's future will and must be built today. And this is the journey. This is the time. This is the moment. The moment when we dare, when we imagine, when we become bold. Because without being bold, without taking risk, and without partnership, we will live in isolation. That is why this energy conference is about that partnership. We are not just building in Guyana, we are building for a sustainable future. But how can we achieve a sustainable future? What even is the future? Where is the future? Tomorrow's future is the next day imagination. So where is the future? The future is building tomorrow to withstand the next wave of innovation. And that is what we're doing. We are not sleepwalking into this future. We are moving in a bold way into this future, understanding that this future requires technology to work. That this future requires technology to work constantly and consistently. And how do we achieve this? Here in Guyana, we want to outline this journey. This journey as to how we achieve this future and what is required in achieving this future. Let's begin with energy. We are all here at the energy conference. What is energy? What is energy? Energy is physics. Is it not physics? Energy is the capacity to do work, the ability to apply force to cause an object to move, change, or create heat and light. It is conserved. It is non-material. That is what energy is. So if energy is a force that is applied to make things move, then I want us to think out beyond this energy conference. Think about the wider aspect of energy and what energy entails. A momentum, movement. And what in this context, in the national context, is needed to create movement, momentum in today's world. It is people, it is technology, it is capital, it is partnership, but importantly, it is ideas. It is ideas. Those are the elements that would give us this momentum, this energy in moving this country and our world forward. Now, many of you would have met some young people earlier. These young people were doing something. They were doing a survey, asking you some questions. And I want us to reflect on those questions that they would have asked you. In this survey, not strange, women are leading. Women are leading. I need you to clap for that. 60% of those who took the survey were women, and 39% were men. What happened there? Very good. You're paying attention. So that is part of technology. It was designed for you to correct it, because technology is about a self-correct mode we are building for the future. So I've demonstrated to you the power of AI, because that is what AI would allow us to do. The power of AI would allow us to do exactly this. So we took this survey, and what did we find in the survey? We asked a question: is the world going in the right direction? 65% of you who took the survey said, no, the world is not going in the right direction. 34% said, yes, the world is going in the right direction. Then we went on and we asked another question: is Guyana going in the right direction? 90.22% of those who took the survey said, yes, Guyana is going in the right direction. 9.78% said, no, so we still have a lot of work to do. We have to work on that 9.78% to ensure that the collective whole are all part of this forward trajectory. We can't be satisfied when about 10% still believe we are not heading in the right direction. Then we went on to ask another question. This is Alex, problem with energy when you don't get the momentum going. So we went on to your life. Is your life heading in the right direction? And what did we find? No, the one before. Is your life heading in the right direction? Now, 86% of you said yes, your life is going in the right direction. And 13% said no, your life is not going in the right direction. But I want you to understand this answer in relation to the question as to whether the world was going in the right direction. So although people believe that their life is going in the right direction, they do not believe that the system and the world they're living in is going in the right direction. Now that's a major conflict. That's a major conflict. And that is worth examination. Then we went on to ask another question. What are the top 3 challenges facing the world and facing Guyana in the people's opinion? First, we have in the world cost of living 18%, conflict 16%, climate change 15%, crime 13%, food crisis 11%. In Guyana, what are the top 3 problems? First, labor shortage. Second, technology deficit. Third, climate change, then jobs, then conflict, then education, then cost of living, then food crisis. So that was a survey we took in real time. That is the real-time results. When you came in today, and some persons responded yesterday. Now what this tells us is that, first of all, there are some challenges that we have to deal with in the future. Challenges, all of which requires energy. Technology requires energy. Food requires energy. Transformation, economic transformation, requires energy. So we have to be able to make these changes, understand these changes, and build our systems to withstand the challenges that comes with these crises that the world is facing. And how are we going to do this in Guyana? First of all, we have to leverage the rapidly expanding oil and gas sector. How do we leverage this sector? How do we ensure that today's prosperity is building tomorrow's sustainability? It is not achieved by spending. It's achieved by spending plus strategic alliances, integration, partnership, understanding what are the sectors that will lead to long-term sustainability, and how we are investing in the infrastructure to create those long-term opportunities. And what are the long-term opportunities? We just heard from Saudi Arabia, the example of building out the orange economy. We see in the Middle East how infrastructure is designed around transport and logistics, how infrastructure is designed around the orange economy, designed around research and development, designed around manufacturing and industrial development. But importantly, location, optimizing where you are located. And here in Guyana, our neighbors are not here by accident. You have one state here in Brazil that produces 30% of all the production, agricultural production in Brazil. That is why our long-term sustainability requires integration of our economy with the rest of the region's economy. It is about us building the infrastructure, creating the infrastructure, investing in the infrastructure, investing in what will optimize these long-term opportunities. That is why we have Saudi Arabia here with us, and we are working with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, the US, Bechtel, and we are working on what? The most transformative infrastructure for tomorrow's future. The deepwater port, linking the deepwater port with Brazil, linking the deepwater port with the rest of the region, ensuring that we position Guyana to be, because of our strategic geographic location, the transport and logistics hub for the region. That by itself creates an ecosystem that generates high-paying jobs, that lead to industrialization and manufacturing, and accelerate the productive sector. And here again, we are blessed with resources. We are blessed with resources that allows us to build an economy and to accelerate our own productive capacity, bauxite in large reserve. But are we satisfied? Does the future require us to export raw bauxite? Or do we channel the energy to create value? And this is the path we prefer to take. Utilizing the energy advantage to create value that will enhance the economy, diverse the economy, and more structurally integrate our economy with the rest of the global system. That is where we are channeling our energy. How do we strengthen national energy security? That's an important question. How do we ensure that we strengthen our national energy security? That is, not only we are energy rich, but we can generate energy for export. And that is why the imagination aspect of what I want to speak about is important. No longer is this a discussion, because we are now completing our first plant And we are in the process of finalizing our second plant. And today we have launched the expression of interest is out for the Amylus Falls Hydro Project. And we are working with our partners to leverage our gas and our petroleum to become an energy exporter in the region. Exporter in terms of infrastructure and logistics. That is where we want. So our national security must lead to regional energy security and allow us to be more structurally integrated in the rest of the region. The second aspect of how we leverage this rapidly expanding oil and gas sector is how do we build resilient food production system? How do we build this? The question is no longer how we'll build it. Is that we are building it. We have partnered with the best, Bloomberg Grains. And why did we partner with Bloomberg Grains? Yes, these things are not cheap, they're costly. But if we want to create an ecosystem that is ready for the world in relation to the standards that are needed for our products to get out there, then we have to embrace the best in class so that our time to get to the market, our time to get to the best technology, our time to be ready is shortened. And that is why we are partnering with the best who have done this, done it well, and they will help us to get ours completed on time and done in accordance with the standards that are required. So why are we partnering with Bloomberg Grains? Because we see food as a responsibility for us. Because of our richness in freshwater and arable lands, we now see food as a responsibility for Guyana. That is, we have a responsibility to produce quality food at good prices for this region. And we're starting that process by integrating our food ecosystem with that of Northern Brazil, transfer the technology, build our local productive capacity, build a processing industry, and be the major player in food production for this region and beyond. And that is why the Middle East is also important. Because if we lock in financing from the Middle East for these projects, then they have a stake in our development. Then they have a stake in ensuring that what we are doing is successful. And they have a huge market also. So we are strategic in this outlook because we want as many partners as possible to have a stake in our development. Because if we have many partners having a stake in our development, then they all have a responsibility to ensure that their stake is successful and it enhances our success rate and create the environment for us to be successful. So if we join the Alliance for Ecotourism that Saudi Arabia has launched, we enter into a new high-value market. We are now exposed into a new high-value market. And we get investment to come in from that high-value market. They then have a stake in ensuring that our ecotourism succeeds. And that is why these conferences are important. That is why bringing in partners and attracting international investors, attracting and building bilateral relations, that is why they're important. Because our development is not in isolation. It is in partnership. The third aspect of leveraging our rapidly expanding oil and gas sector is to propel economic diversification. And this is important. I did not say financial diversification. I said economic diversification. Because economic diversification is different. It brings with it investment for social services. It brings with it investment in infrastructure, investment in enhancing our competitiveness, investment in marketing, and actually investment in the diversification of our economy. And you're seeing this. We are building an economy, as you've seen, to position Guyana as a leader in educational services, health services, environmental services, climate services, ecotourism, food, manufacturing, industrial development, all at the same time, while ensuring that our energy works to our advantage. The fourth aspect is creating sustainable jobs. There are very few countries, and our friends from Saudi Arabia and the UAE and who went through this can tell you, there are very few countries that can say in the first 10 years, between 7 and 10, Alistair, of operation, that they are in a position to train the locals in country with facilities built in country. We've invested hundreds of millions of dollars, US dollars, and are investing that to build a 1 in 10 and 1 in 5 facility for training in offshore deep water drilling here in Guyana. This is not imagination. This is already happening. We have already graduated our first cohort, and we have our second cohort in that institute in 10 years. In 10 years. And what are we doing? We're not sitting on the success of that. We're now expanding that campus to have one of the finest agricultural institute and to have one of the finest construction institute. We're now expanding it to have a A-class tourism and hospitality institute. That is what we're doing. We are building the entire ecosystem to support national and regional development. And what these investments will do. We've already seen what they're doing. Today, jobs, highly technical jobs that were held by our friends from overseas are now held by Guyanese. We're seeing growing numbers of companies on the local content register. We're seeing increased skill sets and skills level of our workforce. But importantly, what are we seeing? We're seeing a momentum of foreign partners who are important with the technology, the know-how, and the experience, now having a larger appetite to partner with local firms and local businesses in delivering their service to Guyana. And that is not accidental. That was because of a deliberate policy agenda. That was as a result of the investment we have made in upskilling at a rapid pace our human resource base and giving our private sector the opportunity to grow and succeed. So we are already doing this, creating sustainable, high-value jobs. And that is why the economic diversification that leads into ecotourism, manufacturing, agro-processing, all of those areas, aviation, all of those areas will be creating high-level jobs. What is the fifth area in which we are leveraging the rapidly expanding oil and gas sector? That is finance. Finance to expand our physical infrastructure. Now, there's some simplistic mind that will say, can you eat the road? But you have heard the stories. Every great nation, every great development around the world begins with infrastructure. Having the infrastructure to support the growth. having the infrastructure to support the economy that you're building. We can have all the mega farms, but if you don't have the farm to market roads to bring the produce out, where would it go? We can speak forever. Guyana is located in the best geographic zone. And if you don't build the darn deep water port, what will come out of it? I had breakfast with a good friend this morning, and he made an important point. The bottom line is the pocket. We can have all the lofty policies on environment, climate, energy, infrastructure, but not if none of it works positively to the pocket of the nation, then what were we building? What are we talking about? At the end of the day, economic value is measurable. It's important. So, financing to expand this infrastructure. And we can decide, I once told I was on an interview, and they said to me, Mr. President, you should really adopt the Norway model. My brother Jabir, they said, adopt the Norway model. President Duque was with me there. And I said, whoa, yes, I want to. Bring the documents I'm going to sign tomorrow to adopt the Norway model, lock, stock, and barrel. I said, what's happening here? I then said to him, are you aware that for the first 20 plus years, Norway spent all of their resources on building their infrastructure and institution? Today, the first question everyone asks, you have a sovereign wealth fund? So yes, bring the Norway model. We have a natural resource fund, while simultaneously we are moving lightning speed with infrastructure development. So we are developing a global model. Make no mistake, we are building a model of success and a global model that we will be respected for. It's a model that does not postpone development. It's a model that does not postpone prosperity, but it's a model that adopts development and prosperity with an eye on sustainability. That is the model we are developing. So yes, we're going to partner with our friends at US Exim, UKEF, the Saudi Development Fund, and all of our partners, because we have to raise the financing at the right price to build out the infrastructure that is necessary to ensure the sustainable development of Guyana. Importantly, how are we leveraging the oil and gas sector? Investment in human capital development, important. How are we preparing our human capital for the challenges of tomorrow? When you go to the developing world, the developed world, what do you see today? You see the children in kindergarten and the first grade are exposed to coding. Something that you dreamt of after finishing secondary school is today a necessity in the education system. What did we do as a government? We negotiated to bring at scale a coding program to have all our children exposed to coding from day one. You see, we are not sleepwalking through this journey. Technology is critical. Technology is important. And we have to adopt technology that will allow us to continue the success. And we have already demonstrated that we are willing to make the investment. The gas to energy project at Wales a power plant, 300 megawatt, the NGL facility, and we have just announced, well, it's already out for expression of interest, the gas bottling plant. But we have a difference in the gas bottling plant at Wales. We want it to be owned as far as possible by Guyanese. So we are offering Guyanese to own this facility and to get the returns from this facility that will be fixed and guaranteed return in the gas bottling plant. That is how we build prosperity at the level of community, at the level of families. Guyanese here and in diaspora and then in the region. Leveraging opportunities. Working with Exxon and the consortium to bring more of the marine business to Guyanese. To have more of the opportunities transfer to joint ventures. To accelerate the speed of technology transfer and knowledge transfer. Then we have the fertilizer plant that we have also advertised at Wales. And that again, we said, will be owned by Guyanese. You will have the opportunity to put your investment into that plant. Because we want you to have a stake in the future. We want you to have a stake in the energy sector. Because it is because of what we've achieved offshore that these opportunities can now be realized, and we want those opportunities in the hands of every single Guyanese. But what else? The world is consuming energy, and the demand for energy is growing at a faster rate today than during the highest point of industrialization. And what is it driven by? It is driven by technology. We live in a region that is being reshaped. And we want this region to have our ownership on our security, on our technology. And we welcome the opportunity to participate in a region where we can now create our own technology, our own security system, and we can be integrated with common values, principles, with democracy and the rule of law as the foundational pillars of what we want to achieve. And how do we ensure that we are part of the opportunity of this region? Sovereignty of data is a big topic today. Where data is stored is a big topic. Computing up for that development. You're gearing up for the interconnectivity with Brazil and the interconnectivity with the rest of the region. That is why we have an expression of interest out for a new international airport at Letem and one at Rose Hall in Region 6. That is why we are advancing negotiations to continue the road all the way to Letem and into Brazil. That is why we want the region to be integrated in the development that we are embarking on. So at Wales, we are looking at Berbice. We are going to announce very soon the development plan that would include optimizing the onshore opportunity for gas, whilst at the same time monetizing at the fastest possible, in the fastest possible time, that brings in all the opportunity for LNG, but at the same time optimizing the onshore development for scale-up jobs and more opportunities in the economy. Building out an exclusive economic zone, already laying out the fiscal incentives for investment in those zones so we can start attracting the investors. This is the journey we are on. Economic growth and diversification, ensuring that not only we are regarded as the fastest growing economy, not only are we going to increase our oil output, and yes, we are going to increase our oil output and increase it at a very rapid pace, but we are also focused on leveraging that increase to expand the growth in the non-oil economy. And you're seeing the results in the growth in the non-oil economy. We are expanding this sector to ensure that we build structurally an economy that builds even prosperity. And how do you get even prosperity? Even prosperity does not mean everybody must have the same amount of money in the bank account. Even prosperity means that a country must be able to give a baseline level of service to every citizen in health, in education, in recreation, in social infrastructure, in support to children. That is it. That is what it is. Creating a baseline of excellence and quality for the citizens of the country. That requires building out the infrastructure that I talk about. Targeting jobs. Already you have seen massive increase in employment levels. We have seen massive increase in unemployment levels. We have seen massive increase in female participation in the workforce. Massive increase in female participation in the workforce directly impact household income in different ways. Not only does it drive empowerment, it also drives savings, and it drives better investment decisions in those households. All study. I did walk with my choir. The human development. Human development is important in this journey because we can achieve all the beautiful buildings, the beautiful infrastructure, but if we don't improve our human development, then what will be the use of all these beautiful things? So, what have we seen so far? If you look at the human development, the HDI score, you will see that we have increased in all of the ranking. Whether it's life expectancy, we have improved. Improvement in years at school, improvement in GNI per capita. So we are demonstrating how the investments are ensuring that our human development indicators are also improving. Financial sector reforms. We want our economy to run on a digital backbone. Today, I'm pleased to tell you that we have completed the process at the central bank of building out a national payment platform, and 2 local banks are ready to go completely on the digital platform. They've already been approved so that we can now have digital wallets, digital payment systems, and digital transfer here in Guyana. And that will be the new standard. But we also have to ensure financial inclusivity, technological inclusivity. That is why we're also going to offer small and medium-sized persons through the Guyana Development Bank the opportunity to invest in their future collateral-free and interest-free. But more importantly, We are backing them with a technical expertise by putting together a technical group that will transfer their ideas into bankable proposal and then handhold them through the process of management in creating viable and sustainable enterprises. We are looking at the Guyana Development Bank as a tool to unlock larger lending from the other banks. So the interest-free, collateral-free resources we've already negotiated with the commercial bank will now work towards unlocking additional resources at low interest costs and low collateral requirement. That brings a whole new generation into the umbrella of entrepreneurship and transforming their ideas into reality. We're also going to complete work on the junior stock exchange, because we have to operate in the real world, in the real financial sector, by building our companies and having the transparency to put those companies on a stock exchange to ensure that we are fully integrated in the financial system. And we are doing that. So we are on this journey. But we also understand that the government must be efficient. The government must be transparent, and government service must also be delivered effectively. That is why the entire government is now transforming itself on a technological platform to ensure there is speed, accuracy, efficiency, and the removal of human biases as far as possible. So we are having a citizen-centric digital ecosystem, tech parks and innovation hub, the National Digital Literacy Program, and of course, cybersecurity and data protection as key aspects. But what is the use of all of this if we don't have a national security system that ensures those who come are safe, our financial system is safe, and our people, they are safe. That is why we're investing in an integrated security model, the Safe Country Project. And it's not about tracking people. It's about preventing crime. And we are not doing this the old way. We're doing this using tomorrow's technology. Because the technology we are applying is predictable technology. It's AI at a different scale. Because we believe we have to make the investments for tomorrow today. We have to make the investments for tomorrow today. That is why in all of this development, security and investment in security is critical. But what is more critical than building the systems and building infrastructure and having the technology is training the people. It's integrating our intelligence services with those of our like-minded partners. Is integrating our national defense system with those of our like-minded partners. Is integrating our national security with those of our like-minded partners. And if you look at what we are doing, you will see that we are on that path of integration. And on the path of integration, for Borbi's gas project, we want to do this with our friends in Suriname. And we are hoping that our friends in Suriname can make a decision to join us by bringing their gas with our gas so we can move from a medium-sized project to a larger scale project for both of our countries and for the region. And those discussions, Minister, are on target. And we are hoping that very quickly we can have some decision because our investors are waiting for those decisions. And those decisions are critical for your future and our future. We want this partnership. We want that, just like we are partnering with our friends in Roraima and Brazil on transport and logistics and the food partnership, we want that partnership. So too are we partnering on security platform, building a security platform that would allow our people to be successful. Important also is the cultural, the orange economy, We are building the orange economy, and we're investing heavily in that orange economy. You will see a series of investment announcements geared at building the infrastructure and the facilities that will drive the orange economy, that would allow the world to see Guyana as a destination of culture, as a destination of sports, as a destination of best at what we want to create in the orange economy is basically merging sports, culture, nature, eco-services, our global positioning as tools in which the orange economy will progress. Now, I've already gone on for a very long time. I will leave you with this tree. Guyana Prosperity Tree of the Future. Our investment over the past 5 years and those which will be made over the next 5 years will secure our energy independence, strengthen our food production system, and position Guyana as a breadbasket in the region. It will propel industrialization and innovation. It will create thousands of sustainable jobs. It will position Guyana as a transport and logistics hub. It will create a safe and secure country. But most importantly, all of this is rooted in people, culture, systems, technology, and importantly, I did not put it there, but in faith and belief in God. Thank you very much. God bless you. Please enjoy this conference. Thank you.